Hello there. Welcome to A Certain Point of View. I am your host, Michael Hoover. And guys, tonight we're going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to talk about, we got a big old trailer that dropped today, and we weren't going to do a live stream today, but when the trailer we've all been waiting for drops, you got to do one, right? So thank you so much for joining us. If you're here, join me in the chat. Now, I do have a guest today, and he agreed to come on last minute, and I'm very thankful for this, but because he did not have to do this, but he's here for about 45 minutes. Give it up for Lore Seeker. What's up, man? Uh-oh, you're muted.
There we go. There. What's up, brother?
Not much. Dude, thanks a lot for coming on such short notice. I did not expect a yes from really anyone today, so I appreciate it.
Luckily, Wednesdays are the kind of days I just chill and work on YouTube, and I'd already done most of my work. So,
dude,
it's how the Force works, man.
Amazing. I'm very grateful that you were able to hop on, and we got a lot to talk about. and since we have you for a limited amount of time here, let's just cut right to the chase, shall we? So obviously we get up this morning and we see that, number one, it wasn't on my radar that the investor day was today. I didn't even think about it really. But on Twitter, I got up and I saw the Entertainment Weekly article with a lot of times these big movies will start their big marketing push with these articles they release with like first look photos and all that stuff. And so when I saw that today, I got on Twitter and I saw the Obi-Wan Kenobi article with first look photos and all that. I was like, this is different than the rumors that we've had going on for like 3-4 months. They're going to release a trailer any day now. I never believed it. But when I saw that today, I was like, this is when they're going to do it. They're going to do it today or tomorrow. And I was right, thankfully. And it only happened a couple hours later. They dropped the trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's actually the first teaser. It was like a minute. What was it? Like a minute 40 seconds or so.
It wasn't that long, man.
Yeah, it might not have even been a minute 40, but it was. But honestly, for a teaser, it was pretty packed full. So, yeah. Man, let's just start here. Big thoughts when you first watched the trailer. What stuck out to you? And by the way, chat, let us know if you're here. I want to make sure we get to you guys in just a minute. But after our big thoughts, I want to get to y'all's thoughts on the trailer, and then Lore Seeker and I are just going to talk for a little while. So, yeah, what were your big thoughts on the trailer right off the bat?
Man, the first thing. So real quick, I work third shift, so I was asleep. I knew today was Investor Day. And when I woke up, of course, my phone was just going insane. So I was like, well, either something very bad happened or something very good happened. And luckily, it was the Kenobi trailer.
Thankfully.
So I love what we're getting with Mandalorian and Book of Boba and Rogue One. There's nothing like John Williams. So it was John Williams for me, man. As soon as Ewan started talking, I was like, yes. And then when the Battle of Heroes played, it was like I was back in 2005 again, man. I was so excited. It worked so well. That opening line, that's all. If that would have been the 20 seconds that we got, I would have been happy with it. The fight is over. We lost. Battle of Heroes. Darth Vader. Done. I would have been. It was perfect to me. I loved it, man. It was. So I was fangirling for sure when I heard John Williams music come back there. But just seeing Ewan McGregor back as Kenobi. He's what we know. It's not a recast. He literally is our Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's been our Kenobi since 1999, and I'm just glad he's back.
Yeah. Dude, here's the thing. When Disney has... they know exactly what they're doing here. All they have to do is show a clip, or is show a few clips of Ewan McGregor walking around in the desert, show young Luke Skywalker, and then play Duel of the Fates, and we're in. I mean, we're all we're all kids again at this point. Like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so honestly, man, when you just surface level, those moments all got me big time. Seeing Luke, like right away, it kind of clicked for me. Like seeing Luke right off the bat, you see him as a kid, and he looks he just from a distance very similar. He's looking like young Annie, right?
Yeah.
And he's got the pod racing goggles on, and already he is dreaming of more, right? He is on the roof pretending he's in a pod racer, looking to the horizon at better things. And from the beginning, that got me, and I was like, man, come on, you guys, already. And man, just seeing, honestly, the things that caught me by surprise the most were obviously the music. The music was fantastic, but I knew it would be. I expected to see more Obi-Wan in this trailer, or in this teaser, but we saw a bit of Obi-Wan, but really what this teaser was introducing us more to his threats. His threats and the conflict within himself. We got that voiceover at the very beginning when he's talking about the fight is done, we lost. And so, like,
that's a powerful line, because you don't really hear Jedi say that too much. There's always
no, you don't.
There's always like, we got to keep going. There's always believe in the Force. For him to say that that those words, we lost.
Yeah,
it's just even like in today, like what would it take to, like, if we were in like a going back into history books, like at what point do you decide you lose as like a country, or like in anything? It's not a sport, when the clock's over, the game's over. Like they lost the war, and he's decided, like, okay, there's no more fighting. Now we have to start, protecting what hope we have left, Luke Skywalker. So
yeah, man,
crazy.
It's so hearing him say those words, and then a lot of the rest of the teaser after that first initial minute, from Duel of the Fates on, we pretty much saw a whole lot of, a couple of, like, we saw one place we've never seen before. And then we also saw we saw Inquisitors, and it basically, we're seeing that they're establishing the threats for Obi-Wan. And I really like that approach. I think in the next trailer we get, because I'm sure there'll be other trailers, at least one more big one, and I think we'll see a little more of Obi-Wan. I think they'll give a little more of maybe the plot idea, like at least big picture wise. I think they'll give us a little more what the show's actually about, and I think it'll be a little more Obi-Wan centric. That's just a guess. But I really liked, and I did not expect for it to be so centered on seeing the threats, seeing all the different Inquisitors and all that. So I thought that was really cool. I'm really pumped about it. I think all of it looks visually stunning. It looks like, I mean, you guys know I've had some issues with the Book of Boba Fett, and I enjoyed a lot of it, but I also had some criticisms of it. One of my criticisms was I felt like some of the special effects were not up to par for Star Wars. This does not look to have that issue. This looks, just based on this trailer alone, this looked like a movie to me. I didn't see anything that looked like, and I know it's not technically a movie budget, but I didn't see anything that looked like this is a TV show. This looks like this looks like they really are putting their money where their mouth is. And so I am beyond stoked for this. This trailer got me more excited, which is insane because I'm already like jumping out of my seat excited about the show. So, man, so let's get to the chat for a minute, and then we'll go into just a little bit, piece by piece here. We got Bricks Fan Plays in the chat. What's up, man? We got, is that how you say it, by the way? Is it Bricks, or is it is it just BRIX or something? Is it?
We've been calling bricks for a long time, so if it's wrong.
That's true. So we got Rural Farm Boy in here. What's up, Rural Farm Boy? We got let's see here. We have going down here. We got you. What's up, man? We got my brother. He was in here at least for a little bit. That's Josh. Josh is really good. Josh is a music producer and records music. He's amazing. And so Josh says, "Hi, I'm here. The music is what got me. Is the thing that got me when that choir came in, dude. Listen, like I said at the beginning, all they knew what they were doing. All they have to do is show us a glimpse of Obi-Wan walking in a desert, show us young Luke, and then play Duel of the Fates, and they know we're hooked.
Yeah.
And that was just hearing Duel of the Fates again. I am loving, by the way, that they seem to be really embracing all of the eras right now. Like I love that because for a while at the beginning of the sequel trilogy, it seemed like they were trying to distance themselves as far away as possible as they could from the prequels, and now it's like, no, it's all there. It's all part of it, and so I think having Obi-Wan, having Ewan McGregor from the prequels, having iconic music from the prequels like Duel of the Fates. And then having this other stuff from after the prequels in Rebels and in Fallen Order, which I haven't played, but I know the Inquisitors are there. So having all of this stuff kind of mixed into one pot, I love it. I'm so excited for it. And so let's see here. Yep. Brick says, I had chills when hearing Duel of the Fates. I think we all did. We got Quibs in here saying, hey. Let's see. We got Jared Johnson says, seeing Sun Kang as the fifth brother made my heart swell. Is that for sure the fifth brother?
I believe so.
Okay. And then Jared says, the Jedi Code is like an itch. Dude, I want to talk about that. We're going to get into that in a minute. I love the monologue going over all the shots. It was so good. Rural Farm Boy says, yep, so many many threats. Just how many Inquisitors? Yeah. It looked, I mean, we saw several. I don't know how many we saw, but we definitely saw several. Did you catch that?
Off the top of my head, I think there's 5. There's the 3 that are in the room talking, and then you have the Grand Inquisitor, and then you have Reva.
Okay, yeah. So, and then Brick says they fly now. I'm not sure what he's referring to.
They all fly now.
Oh no. If you're referring to the sabers, please God, I would really rather not.
I'll bring that to the animation.
Please leave that animation. I have no issue with the spinning saber. That's cool. It's fine. Don't fly with it. Please, Deborah Chow. Please don't do that to me.
Kenobi defeats him. He's just like, I'm out of here. And he just flies away. And you're like, no, it's not what we wanted.
There is this moment in Twilight of the Apprentice, the finale of season 2 of Rebels. And it's like they did it to me on purpose, but it's like this moment where like there are 3 different like occasions within a like 3-minute span. I'm just guessing here, but like within a really short time frame where they fight for a while and then they're just like, whee! Yeah, they just fly away. It happens multiple times in such a short span. And every time it happens, I'm like, oh my God. Not again. Stop. It drives me insane. It's one of the very few complaints I have about Rebels, but honestly, it's not a big deal. Now, I don't want to see that. I really don't want to see that in live action. Let's see. Rural Farm Boy says the Underwater Inquisitors headquarters was from Jedi Fallen Order, the game. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Again, I haven't played it, but I've heard a few things about it.
It's called like Fortress Inquisitoris or something like that.
Yeah, that's the name. That's something like that. I saw that going around. That's a pretty great name. Scott Tracy is in here. What's up, man? How's it going? Let's see. Oh, so Bricks did confirm it's Bricks, but spelled with an X. Awesome. Yeah, Quibs says little Luke on the roof. Man, it got me. I'm not gonna lie. That moment really got me. Seeing him, and he looked so much like little Annie. Jared says, I'm not a fan of the Grand Inquisitor's look, but oh well. Look, yeah, to me, I've seen that going around a lot, and it doesn't look exactly like, Rebels or whatever. But It doesn't bother me. Like, I guess for me, when you go to live action, I just expect certain things to change. I just expect a little bit of a difference sometimes, and if his head shape is a little different, as long as he's a good actor, I don't really care.
It's gonna be like
And
Ahsoka. Like when I first saw Rosario play, I was like, it's a little weird. And then by the end of the episode, it grew on me. I think by the end of the show, those are going to be our Grand
yeah,
Inquisitors. So
yeah, I agree, and I get like needing a minute to like adjust because I will too, but honestly, Rosario had me right away with Ahsoka, but I understand the idea of needing a minute to like let it like get used to it, but like for me, things like head shape and all that, as long as he's a good actor, and he's got a commanding presence. If he's got the essence of the Grand Inquisitor, I'm good, and that's to remain to that is that remains to be seen. We don't know. I could sit back once I watch the first episode and be like, yeah, that's not good. But as of now, just the way he looks and sounds, I think is fine. But that's just me. Jared also says StarWars.com says Reva was the third sister. That other lady Inquisitor, we don't know her rank, but we can assume she's the missing fourth sister. And I will say, I'll lean on you for that stuff because I have seen Rebels, but I don't know. Like they don't go into the names really of those Inquisitors on Rebels. They don't talk about like the second sister and third sister and all that stuff. They don't go into that much, at least not to my recollection. And I'm almost done with a full rewatch, so I don't remember that in Rebels. I imagine that's something they touch on in the game. Am I correct about that?
they name a few.
Okay.
There's the ninth sister, and then there's a few others. But like I said, I think there's 9 of them, and they
Yeah.
don't really give you much story or names. They just give them numbers, and I'm terrible with numbers. I just know they're Inquisitors. So
Yeah, that's exactly me too. I'm like, okay, yeah, so they're an Inquisitor. Cool. That's all I need to know. Rural Farm Boy says, set your expectations down. Yep. That is something. Don't let your expectations, or don't let your speculation become your expectation. Going into it, I expect a good show. That's all I expect. I don't. We'll see what happens. But I totally agree. RFB. And then one last thing from Quibs here. A lot of things will look different in live action, but that's expected. Completely agree. Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the time it should look different. Sometimes animated stuff would not translate well to live action. Sometimes it would. They just play it by ear or by case by case basis. So okay, let's go into, guys, we'll go back in the chat. Feel free as we continue to go on. I will get back to the chat at the end, but I want to talk with Lore Seeker as much as possible while he's here. And so as we're talking, leave your thoughts in the thread, and I will make sure to mark them so I read them at the end. But we're just going to talk for a little while. And so let's start just by going over what was your thought of, like, what do you think about, I want to look at just the specific, there's the dialogue, or I'm sorry, the monologue that the Inquisitor said as we're kind of watching the trailer. He says, the Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi code is like an itch. He cannot help it. I freaking love that. It's so menacing, and it really establishes the Inquisitors as a threat to what Obi-Wan's plan is. And right off the bat, with just a couple of lines of dialogue, without us knowing the characters really, and it gives us such a great idea about what, not specifically, but thematically, and what is going to happen in the show and what their plan is. So what do you think about that? Did that even stand? Is that something that even stood out to you? That was initially for me was like so good.
It's a perfect line. They have studied how to hunt their prey, which their prey is Jedi, and how to set traps and bait them out into the open. And Jedi that are in hiding Just because they're in hiding doesn't make them any less of a Jedi. If they see someone in trouble, they feel obligated to help them, regardless if that's going to put them in danger. And even Kenobi, who has the most important mission out of every last Jedi that's out there, we don't know how many that is, 20, 30, 40, 10. He has the most important mission. And even he, obviously we see in the trailer, he leaves Tatooine at least once. Even for him, it's enough to get him off planet, and to possibly not make it back to Tatooine. So
Yeah.
it's a good line, and it's obviously going to work. And it's like that in reality. That's what makes it so good. If you put danger near a former soldier or anybody, a retired first responder, and then you put evil in the world in front of them, they're probably going to react to it, right? And they have to do something. It goes against their character. So just having Kenobi out there with that line, it's really good, man.
And then like right after, at some point during that monologue, we also see the Inquisitors doing just several things on screen. One of the things we see is like they're in, like, I don't know, it's on Tatooine, I imagine, but it's like in the middle of this town, and we see them hanging. There's someone hanging.
Yeah.
So my mind went to, and now when we watch the show, the context could be different, but my mind went to, they are executing people who aid and abet the Jedi, any Jedi, or they are just trying to bring the Jedi out of hiding because compassion is their weakness and it leaves a trail, right? So those are my two thoughts. I wonder if either that person helped Obi-Wan and he got hung for it, or they got hung for it, and then either that or they just hung that person to bring him out of hiding. So what do you think?
Man, I feel like I read this trailer pretty good, but I've been wrong on these dang trailers. But what it looks like to me is that they are on Tatooine, because right after that scene, Reva, who I believe is, I just had her name pulled up. It's Reva, but I forgot which sister she is. Anyways, she's a new character.
Yeah.
She is staring down Uncle Owen, and we know Uncle Owen in A New Hope completely dislikes Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, the reason has to be is because he's a Jedi. He brought Luke to this planet, and you have these Inquisitors who are hunting him down. And then we see other scenes at the end of the trailer where Obi-Wan Kenobi goes off planet. And I think he leaves Tatooine and then makes himself known on this planet, Dayu, Daiyu is how they're spelling it, Dayu.
Which looks super cool, by the way.
So I think Kenobi goes to this planet to bait the Inquisitors off of Tatooine and get them far away from Luke. And then, but the damage has already been done with that mass or public hanging. So Uncle Owen is already gonna have this distaste for Kenobi, which he'll carry to A New Hope.
Yeah. Oh man. And speaking of Uncle Owen, that shot of him, or it wasn't in the trailer, but that picture, did you look at the pictures that were released today? The on-set pictures?
Yeah.
That picture released of him and that Inquisitor just like staring down. Mm-hmm. It was like, he is not remotely terrified of the Inquisitors. No. Like, and he's looking as cranky as ever too. By the way, in his getting old, he's getting older, but he's not that old yet. But man, he is really looking like old cantankerous Uncle Owen right now.
It's gonna make you appreciate the first 20 minutes of A New Hope so much more. Like, why is he so protective of Luke? And like, why won't he let him go join the academy and all this stuff? And we're gonna see why in these little 6 episodes that we're gonna get.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this show. I haven't been, honestly, I was bonkers excited when The Mandalorian was coming out. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I had my expectations weren't like crazy high, but it was the kickoff of Disney Plus. We haven't seen a Star Wars show yet, so anything could happen, but I was very excited about it. But honestly, and I'm gonna go find it really quick. Jared says exactly what I'm thinking here. Jared said, "Dude, I'll be honest. I haven't been this hyped in a long time. The Force Awakens teaser trailer, like hype.
Mhm.
That is about the hype that I have right now, and that scares me a little bit because that makes it to
Yeah,
where if it's not as good as I hope, it'll hurt more.
right.
But this show, and I kept saying during the Book of Boba Fett, I was like, sometimes you just watch a Star Wars thing and it's not your jam. And sometimes you watch a Star Wars thing and it is really your jam. Book of Boba Fett was not my jam. I liked parts of it a lot. Specifically, I mean, there's a few episodes, and then one of them you came on for the second chapter with the train heist and all that stuff. There was some really good stuff in the Book of Boba Fett, but
So,
that it just wasn't super my vibe. Honestly, it wasn't made for me. Dude, I'll be honest. This feels made for me. Like this show feels like something that I've been waiting
yeah.
for my entire Star Wars life. And I just can't. I'm excited to get into Obi-Wan's psyche, to see him. I don't know if you saw in that article, Ewan McGregor talked about how we find Obi-Wan in a broken state, and he's like kind of given up. And
Yeah.
last time we got a Jedi in that state didn't go over so well, but hopefully it goes over a little better with everyone with this. But I am so hyped to see that. But yeah, what do you think?
Here's the thing with Kenobi and in honor of the Batman coming out.
Ooh,
Um,
yes.
if if the Batman messes up, that's very bad. Okay, if the movie's a failure, that's very bad. Now, if the Penguin future Penguin show messes up, we can handle that, right? It's like okay,
Mm-hmm.
Kenobi, Boba is a really good character. He's a fan favorite, but he's not the character. Kenobi is one of the characters, right? He's the top 5 pivotal character in Star Wars. So if you're gonna give him a show, it has to be done right and it has to be awesome, right? If we go in and we're all this is mediocre Star Wars, it's gonna be a big disappointment for all of us. You going in hype is a good thing. I'm going in hype,
Mm-hmm.
and if it doesn't live up to our expectations, then that's a big mistake because Kenobi as a character is the most least talked about pop character, of the Skywalker saga. Everybody talks about Anakin, everybody talks about Palpatine, everybody talks about Anakin, Darth Vader, Luke, and Kenobi is literally one of the center points to all this, right?
Yeah.
He's fought Sith Lords. He's one of the only Jedi to fight numerous Sith Lords and live. He's trained the main character,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's watched over the second main character, Luke Skywalker, and now he's getting his own show, which is rightfully due. And if you're going in hype, if anyone's going in not hype, that's kind of weird.
Right, right. Like,
Like, how are you a fan of Star Wars if you're not hyped for Kenobi? Like, what are we doing here? We gotta
I've
go back
set my expectations so low that I'm not excited at all.
so you gotta go back to the drawing board. 'Cause, everybody, I think the trailer already has well over, it's like an insane million a number of views. It's crazy. It's just blowing the YouTube off the chart.
Yeah.
Um, but it looks good, man, and I'm with you. It does look like a movie. It does look like it's getting a lot of budget. I mean, this looks like it could be on the big screen easily, and it probably deserves to be. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah, and like you said, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi we're talking about here. This is one of the, like, if you were to make a Mount Rushmore of Jedi,
Mhm.
the vast majority of people would have Obi-Wan Kenobi on their Mount Rushmore. Like
Easily.
I would easily. And I mean, now there's a lot of great Jedi, but Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's another level. And as far as just like in our world, Star Wars fandom, Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the most recognizable Star Wars names ever. Like, if you don't nail this show, it is kind of scary, because I do think, even though some people loved, I've talked to so many people that didn't like the Book of Boba Fett, but I've also talked to a lot of people who really love the Book of Boba Fett. So it's kind of a mixed bag. But because it's kind of a mixed bag, it wasn't nearly as widely accepted as The Mandalorian, at the very least.
Right.
Because of that, if you now have the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi here, and you don't capitalize on having this be a fantastic experience for us, it definitely, Star Wars is going to start to have a bit of a negative vibe, even like not just in like on Twitter, because that's kind of normal on Twitter, but Star Wars is going, the fandom is going to be a little more hesitant and a little more cynical toward things that we're getting, because the last couple of things we've gotten, and you drop the ball on a character like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and let's be honest, dude, this story is ripe for deep emotional, like a absolute beautiful story, adding to the lore of Star Wars. There's so much potential here for this time period. There's so much potential here for this specific story. I don't know, like, I feel almost like you would have to try to drop the ball on this, but I have a lot of faith in Deborah Chow. I have a ton of faith in Deborah Chow. She directed a couple of the best episodes of The Mandalorian, in my opinion. And judging by the trailer, it looks, my expectations are just absolutely sky high. So, like, you know, like I said, I hope I'm not setting myself up for failure here, but I gotta say, man, my hype for this show is just on another level than I've experienced in a while. And a lot of it has to do with like my love for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've always loved Obi-Wan since I was a kid. And then when I saw him younger I'll never forget that in the theater, seeing that young, you know, Padawan on the screen and Qui-Gon calling him Obi-Wan. And I was like, oh, what? Like, I had no idea. I don't think I even saw the trailer as a kid. I like, in 1999, where was I even watching trailers? Like, right. I remember seeing that and freaking out as a 10-year-old kid. And I have always had this place in my heart for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so seeing Ewan McGregor doing this, having this potential for this emotional story, having Hayden Christensen back in this,
we don't see it all in the trailer.
Which, yeah, exactly. We don't see him at all in the trailer. We see the Inquisitors, and but we do not see Anakin or / Darth Vader in this trailer at all, which I think is good. I actually kind of hope they don't show him.
Just leave him for the whatever episode you give him to us.
Yeah, man. I think just completely keep him behind the curtain until the episode. I did hear a little Vader breathing over the final, the text coming up over the end of the trailer. But I think I kind of heard that, unless I just imagined it, which I totally could have. But
it's there.
Yeah, okay, it's there. But man, I gotta say, this as a trailer, this my excitement was already through the roof, and now it's even higher if that's possible. And so I'm just like, I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm like anxious about this show, and the fact that I have to wait 2 months for this, actually like almost 3 months for this. But man, where are you? Where are you as far as what is this the show you're the most excited about out of all the ones coming up?
Yeah, anytime like anyone ever asks me, what episodes do you want to watch, or is it Mandalorian? Are you excited for this episode? It's like, no, it's Kenobi, and the reason is what you were talking about earlier. This one is it's the purest Star Wars we're gonna get as far as the main story. It's the closest tie-in to that little timeline, which is my favorite thing. Like, I get that people want to branch out, and I do too. I want, obviously more lore. But that main timeline, anytime we get lore for that main timeline, which is the Skywalker timeline, I just want it. And this one ties in the prequels. It ties in Rebels. It's going to tie in the OT. I'm sure they're going to throw in some sequel stuff. I'm sure there's going to be even some Rogue One stuff setting up, maybe Andor somehow. But it's right in the middle of when everything is going on. This is the most chaotic time period in the Star Wars universe that we're aware of. And Kenobi's right there in the thick of it with a 10, 11-year-old Luke Skywalker to look out for. So,
dude, oh my gosh. And And I love what they're doing with this time period. By the way, the Bad Batch. What were your thoughts on the Bad Batch? Never talked to you about it.
I like the Bad Batch. I take it for what those shows are worth, and they're a cartoon that gets the point across for the bigger story, which is the Skywalker timeline here. So and it works out to me. I'm curious to see what season 2 is going to have in store for us.
Yeah, I actually I found that I enjoyed it more than most. I absolutely loved the Bad Batch, and I even though like it's got the same kind of a feel uh as the Mandalorian, as far as each episode is a bit of a different mission and all that stuff. I felt like thematically and what they're doing, building the world out post post Order 66,
Yeah.
seeing the transformation of the Empire, of the Republic to the Empire, seeing the clone army shifting over to the stormtroopers, seeing all of that shifting, destruction of Camino.
It goes back to that line. We lost. You're watching what happens if you lose, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So for anybody watching Star Wars, if you want to know why good people should win, is because after we lose, the Empire takes over. Darkness reigns. That gem line in Rogue One, where Saw Gerrera is like, "Are you happy with Imperial flags reigning across the galaxy?" And she's like, "It's not a problem if you don't look up." She starts
Yeah.
looking up, and then it becomes her problem. So it's everybody's problem. If the good guys lose, it becomes everybody's problem. And it's now Kenobi's problem, which it always has been. It's now Uncle Owen, who lives on Tatooine, not even in the Republic. Now it's his problem. He's like, "What the heck's going on?"
Yeah, way out on the outer rim, it's their problem.
You stood by while the good people were trying to save the galaxy, and they failed, and now it's your problem. So now Uncle Owen is thrown into it, and then the person who dies in the middle of Mos Eisley or wherever they're at in Tatooine, it was his problem. Now he died for it. And anyone else that's in the wake of these Inquisitors and because there were stormtroopers running around on Daiyu, and I'm sure they're going to be pushing regular civilians out of the way because they stood by and they lost the war. So it's the perfect time period, man. I love to see it. It's the transition into why we get the rebellion. Why are these people wanting to rebel? It's because the Empire is the Empire.
God, I love Star Wars so much, man. Like, and what I love so much too about this is, like, when you watch the Force Awakens trailer for the first time, it was amazing, by the way. I agree with Jared. Like, it was one of those moments for me as a Star Wars fan. It literally awakened my love for Star Wars. Like, it was a watershed moment for so many people, including me.
Man, you're telling me.
But what did they do? They absolutely, like, at the beginning of that trailer, you see like a Star Destroyer in the sand, and you see a like AT-AT like just laying down, and you see you see the Falcon, and it pops in there and it's flying around doing the Falcon thing. They definitely pull at your heartstrings and your nostalgia strings, right? Now, I'm not saying that this is not doing that at all, because like I said at the beginning of the trailer, we see Luke, we see young Luke, we see Obi-Wan walking around the desert like we want to. We hear we hear the Duel of the Fates, and then later also Battle of the Heroes kind of going in and out. But what I'm loving about the idea of this show and everything I'm seeing so far about this show is the potential for deepening Obi-Wan's character even more than he already is. Yeah. Obi-Wan is already an all-time great character in Star Wars. And so like you mentioned, this stuff is now, these people on the Outer Rim, it's their problem now because the good people lost. And now there's a power vacuum. And suddenly this stuff that wasn't, their problem is their problem now. And I guarantee you, Obi-Wan is going to feel responsible big time for a lot of this stuff, whether it's directly because of his relationship with Anakin and where that goes. I'm excited to explore that emotional trauma.
Whether he likes it or not, every person that dies at the hands of a stormtrooper or an inquisitor, whether
Exactly.
it's on Tatooine or 1,000 planets in the other direction,
Mm-hmm.
directly Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the rest of the Jedi Order's fault. Uh,
Exactly.
it's their failures, and they have to live up to those mistakes. And I think Kenobi is realizing that. And I think there's an image in Entertainment Weekly where he's in his room and
Oh my gosh.
he's like sitting up. It looks like he had just had a nightmare. So he's gonna be going through it exactly because you said it earlier, like the exact verbatim way they worded it, like what he's going through and how he's gonna be like, he's having these thoughts and he's just stressed and feels hopeless. Yeah, we're gonna see that, and especially as we get into it, I hope the pacing has to be right in these 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm very scared for the pacing about it, but obviously, I don't know, these guys, that Deborah and all them working on the show are better at it than I am. So I'm hoping they get it right. The pacing is going to be, I think, visually, the thing's going to be good. John Williams back with the score. That's we don't even have to talk about that, right? It's going to be great. The only thing that could hurt this is the pacing, because that's what I think hurt Boba. So if they use flashbacks, let's not use too many of them. Let's get it moving and set it up. I think Vader appears in the last 2 episodes, but if they bring, we've been wrong before. He could be in the first episode walking around like a tank, and you're just like, well, this is what we're getting.
First shot is Vader.
First shot Vader. So yeah, I'm just scared for the pacing. But the trailer looks good. The images look good. Kenobi, like it sounds weird, but Kenobi looks like Kenobi, right? He's not. I love Alden as Han Solo, and I love it. Like I do. I will defend that movie beyond belief. But Harrison Ford is Han Solo to me, right? When I picture Han Solo in my head, the first thing that pops up is Harrison Ford. Obi-Wan Kenobi is, because we grew up with him. I mean, most of us did now. It's not Alec Guinness anymore. It's been Ewan McGregor. So if they had recasted him, right, it wouldn't be the same, right?
Yeah, and even the Clone Wars version is obviously looks like Ewan McGregor, right? So absolutely, I agree.
It's like there's certain characters now that you can't recast. Mace Windu, a Qui-Gon Jinn. Only Liam Neeson and Samuel L. Jackson can play those characters. I think they learned with their mistake with Han Solo, and they're really teetering on it with Luke. And we talked about that. Are they going to go CGI? And they finally said, yes, we're going full CGI with Luke, because they were teetering on using that actor that's in the X-wing, right? And now they finally figured it out. Like, look, we can't really recast these powerful characters. We can do new characters, which is great. Bring in Jyn was perfect, right? Felicity Jones' Jyn, she nailed it, right? You didn't have to recast anybody. You just brought in a new character and you gave her this phenomenal role, and she did amazing. I think that's why when we watch this trailer, you're back in 2005 again, Revenge of the Sith. It's because it's just Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, just a little older. You're getting more of the story. It's perfect, man.
Yeah, man.
Perfect. Cool.
I am gonna disagree with you a little bit on not Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor. It's perfect. I mean, God, he looks so good. Like when it showed that last shot of him at the very end of the trailer, I'm just like, this is Obi-Wan. But dude, I thought Alden did a great job as Solo, and I think the movie is great. I think it was the marketing that totally blew that movie completely.
Let me ask you this question, and just if you disagree, that's cool.
Yeah,
but
what's up?
I love Solo. I'll defend it, and I have art books. I have like collectibles from. I'll watch Solo right now. But if you told me, hey, do you want a recasted Han Solo story, or would you like a Kenobi movie at the exact same time period with Ewan McGregor? We would pick Kenobi recast because he's right there, or Hayden Christensen, or bring in anybody.
So you're actually, what you're saying really is not that Alden didn't work as Solo or the movie was bad. You're saying they chose a Solo movie when they could have chosen an Obi-Wan movie.
Or
is that what you're saying?
A character that's already been established with a particular actor that's still living.
Yeah, in that same age or the right age or whatever. Yeah.
The biggest disservice that they ever did was they didn't make these sequels back when Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, and Harrison Ford all agreed to do it in the early 2000s, right, or the late 1990s. Because they were, besides Harrison Ford, the other Carrie and Mark wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, no, we're just not going to do it. And then what happens? They make the prequels. And then they just got too old, and then they brought them in, and now they were already too old. And then,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we literally lost Carrie Fisher in the middle of filming.
Yeah.
So when you have Hayden Christensen, we almost wasted him. Like now we have him back. Now we're all holding Hayden in our little arms, right, trying to keep him because like now we have him back. We almost lost the potential of an Anakin Skywalker in Clone Wars flashback, which is what we're hoping we're getting, right? We almost lost that because he's getting too old, right? I feel like Alden did amazing as Solo, but the resources could have went to an already established. Like now, Samuel L. Jackson's too old. You can barely use him. Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson, he's too old. But there's other characters now, like
Sure.
like let's say because I know you like the sequels, right? So here's the better question:
Yeah.
what if they don't do anything with Rey? They don't do anything with Poe. They don't do anything with Finn, and then the same scenario happens. So that was made in the 70s and 80s. So let's say it's the year 2040, and they finally decide to do the sequel, and Rey's old. How would that make you feel? When we had Rey in her 20s, 30s, and 40s, where she could have done a sequel.
I guess it depends on the story. Like I'm not gonna lie, seeing old lady Rey training Jedi, I like that idea. I really do, but it depends on the story they want to tell. So for me, if you would have asked me the question that you just asked before the movie came out, I was absolutely like 100% like, why are they making a Han Solo movie?
Right,
Nobody wants this, but they did, and I loved it. Like I really liked that movie. And so it's all about, for me, what's the story that they want to tell. If they didn't have an Obi-Wan movie or another movie with a character like that, let's be honest, they weren't touching Hayden Christensen at that time. Not yet.
No, not
yet. So let's be honest about that. But then also, maybe the Obi-Wan, there were talks of making an Obi-Wan movie at that same time. They were going to make all of these different, anthology movies between. There was going to be Rogue One. There was going to be Solo. There was going to be a Boba Fett movie. There was going to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie eventually. And Ewan McGregor was going to play, and there was a bunch of issues with production and Kathleen Kennedy. This is one of the, like, I'm a defender of Kathleen Kennedy overall, but one of the things she's had to grow in as a studio executive is making sure that she's on the same page as her creatives, as the people she hires before she hires them. And so there's some issues behind the scenes with Obi-Wan and Boba Fett and all that stuff. She seems to have course corrected at least a good bit there, so that's good. Kudos to her for all of this stuff we're getting now. Yeah, exactly. We're getting Obi-Wan Kenobi now. It's just it's a longer movie, so that's awesome, right? But I think it's all about the story that they want to tell, and kind of going back to because I know we got to let you go here in a minute, but I'm just ready for this story, like it's all like we can talk about hypotheticals and what we want and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if Lucasfilm has a story they want to tell and it's amazing about, I don't know, Ben Quaginero, I want to see that more than I want to see this fanfic idea for Darth Vader film. Like I want to see a story that someone is passionate about telling, and so it appears that this is a passion project. It appears that they've got the right creator. It appears that, and I know even this show, I know they've had to go back to the drawing board and do some rewrites and all that stuff. I know that they've really labored to get this show where it is now. And so, man, in a few months, we're going to get to see what they came up with.
I don't think Ewan McGregor would do this if he didn't think it was going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely valid.
Yeah.
By the way,
I like it so much.
I agree. By the way, have you watched any interviews of him, just like watching anything behind the scenes with him talking about Obi-Wan?
Not recently, not for this particular movie, but I know in like past like Celebration and all these interviews, everyone always asks, "Are you ever going to do a Kenobi?" And you can just tell like he knew something that we didn't know like years ago. Supposedly he's known about this for like 5 years, so he's been keeping this very little secret behind all of our backs. So,
but like, he loves playing this character.
Yeah.
And if you, I was watching some behind the scenes footage of some behind the scenes footage of the prequels, the making of the prequels the other day, and even back then, even like young Ewan McGregor, he was like I can't. Can you believe I get to do this? Like they showed the day that he got to pick the lightsaber that he got to use. I mean, obviously it had to be blue, but like he
Right.
got to pick which one that he was going to use, and he was like, "Is today the day I get to pick?" Like he like either one of us would be in that situation.
Right, dude.
He was, and he gets to play Obi-Wan, and he's like a like a schoolboy about it, just so excited. And so the fact that we're getting Obi-Wan Kenobi, the fact that we're getting a show, 6 full episodes about it, and it's with Ewan McGregor, and we know Ewan McGregor loves this character so much. I don't know, man. It seems perfect. I'm so excited.
Here, since we're talking about lightsabers, let's end with this question. Do
Yeah.
you think he ignites his lightsaber against the Inquisitors at all, or is the only time he ignites his lightsaber against the big bad Vader?
I kind of get my prediction is that he won't for a long time.
Mhm.
He's going to hold off for as long as possible, but at some point he's going to have to show himself. Like he's going to have to give himself up. And I think it might be to the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Um, I would be surprised if he didn't light it against any Inquisitors. So yeah, I'll say Grand Inquisitor, but only after a while. I think he's gonna hold off.
Coachos, man. Oh man, dude, just I can see the lightsaber just going right now, and he's just like, "Hey,
Yep.
boy, we gotta go. It's time to go."
Yep.
Man,
All right, man, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. On such late notice, you did not have to do this, but I really appreciate it. Anytime we get you on this show is always a treat. So, tell everybody here. Honestly, a lot of these people are they already know you, but tell anyone else here that doesn't where they can find you and all that stuff.
if you're not one of those Revenites out there listening, I am Lore Seeker on YouTube. It's weird saying myself in third person, but it's Star Wars Lore Seeker on YouTube, and then we also have Monster Island Lore Seeker, which the Great Dragon M is a very pivotal part of that. He writes all the scripts, does the narration on it, and everything. So Monster Island Lore Seeker, we have Halo Lore Seeker, we have Warriors of Lore, which is now my history channel, and it's moving. And then we have Middle Earth Lore Seeker as well. So you want to hop over there, type in Lore Seeker in YouTube. One of them will pop up. Probably Star Wars. We're moving over there, and we have a small little Kenobi thing, and we're gonna be doing Kenobi breakdowns and stuff. And I'm sure we'll make content together with a certain point of view podcast, and when Kenobi starts to drop. So
I am, yeah, we will. It's a guarantee. All right, man, dude. Thanks so much for joining. I'll talk to you later.
all right, later, bro. Peace.
See you, man. All right, that was Lore Seeker. Man, that guy's awesome. Thank you so much, dude, for joining again. It's always such a pleasure. All right, now I get to hang out with you guys. I know you guys have been leaving some comments in the chat, and I have been marking them as we go. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to just start reading them. Let's go all the way back here to... and by the way, Drew, if you want to come on, I'll send you the link. Okay, let's start here at Bricks. Bricks says, do you think we could maybe see Maul in the show or no? Since we heard Duel of the Fates, we really don't know what happened after season 7 of the Clone Wars with Maul. So, okay, that's a good question. Especially, I didn't even think about Duel of the Fates. I always just kind of thought about, there's obviously the Anakin and Obi-Wan connection there. But that is a good question. My personal opinion, and this is just me, I hope not. I think, listen, we already have enough potential, people that we can see in this show. Like, there's so many people in this time period we could run into. The only reason that I am hesitant about seeing Maul again is because in Rebels, you get the sense that Maul, it is pretty, I don't know if it's explicit, but it is extremely hinted at, it is extreme. It's pretty clear to me, at least when I'm watching. Maul has not seen Kenobi since he got cut in half, and his revenge. He wants. He still has that revenge fire burning in his soul, and so I think seeing him again would kind of take away a little bit of the luster from the like. If you remember in Rebels, you really see when Maul starts to really look for Kenobi, when he sees that he's still alive. He's still alive. He's like going crazy. He's losing his mind. He's like, he's still alive. He's alive. He's alive. He's like going, he's losing his mind because he knows like it's still in reach and he thought he was probably dead at this point. So to me, it would kind of take a little bit away from that. And not to mention, I definitely don't want to see, a lot of people want to see like a remake of what we saw in Rebels, the final duel between the two of them. I do not want to see that one bit. That duel is incredible and it's perfection. And just because it's animated does not mean that it's not legit. It's not legitimate. It is legitimate storytelling, and it was told in a beautiful and thoughtful way. I don't want to touch that as is. Okay. So that's my view. Some people are disagreeing. I understand that. But for me, I don't want to see Maul. They could tell a story where Maul comes in and it could be great and I'm open to it. But I'm not going to lie. If Maul shows up, I will be disappointed at first for sure. So, yeah, so that's that. Jared says, oh, no, I already read that one. Sorry, Jared. Facebook user, sorry, I don't know who this is, says, I love that we are not exclusively on Tatooine. Yeah, okay, so it does. We got at least one new planet, right? Here's the thing. I know a lot of people are having Tatooine, what's the word I'm looking for? Fatigue. Tatooine fatigue. And I get it somewhat, but for me, I'm not. I'm not. Tatooine is such an important place in Star Wars, and I guess part of it too is just knowing, like, yeah, okay, well, they're telling a Obi-Wan show, they're telling an Obi-Wan story. The vast majority of it has to take place on Tatooine because of where this is in the timeline and what he's doing, what his mission is. So I'm not having Tatooine fatigue. Even with the Book of Boba Fett, Tatooine wasn't the issue. I liked it. One of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian is one of the ones they go back to Tatooine. It's the first episode, the Marshal, the first episode of season 2. I don't know. As long as it's a good story, Tatooine isn't an issue. In fact, it's a gold mine for great storytelling if you tell good stories there. So, yeah, that's my opinion. I'm good with Tatooine, but I agree though. It is great that we're going to see a new planet we've never seen before. We might see other ones too. Totally cool. It is always good. It is Star Wars after all. It's always good to go away from, it's good to go in space. It's good to go in outer space, to go to other planets. There's so much rich world building in Star Wars. There's so many great, beautiful planets to go to. So many great species of creatures and people to go see. It's great when we get to see that. And so, yeah, totally. Okay, Scott Tracy says, I think they are just committing acts of cruelty to random people to draw out the Jedi. I tend to agree. The other option would have been, that would have been that they're like aiding and abetting Jedi, and they're making an example of these people to set an example for others that they don't do the same. But the more I think about it, I'm with you. I think they're just committing acts of cruelty to random people to draw out the Jedi. I agree 100% with you, Scott. Facebook user says, no doubt about it, I am ready to get hurt again. Yes, and you know what, really quick, let me go. I want to sign into Facebook, and I'm going to pull this up because I want to see who this is. I want to see who is interacting with me, so I don't have to keep calling you Facebook user. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Oh, it's Travis. What's up, Travis? Yeah, okay. So Travis says, no doubt about it, I am ready to get hurt again. Yeah, dude, I am with you. I am honestly, I've been in a place where I am just about like I'm gonna have to mentally prepare and emotionally prepare for this show. But yeah, every time I think about this show, it is not because of how much fun I'm gonna have watching it. It is about I'm expecting to be hurt. I'm expecting emotional trauma from the characters and the story, and I am expecting to really feel a lot of things in this show. So I'm so excited. Um, Scott Tracy says, honestly, one on one, what chance would the Inquisitors have against Obi-Wan? Sith are his speciality. I love that, dude. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Obi-Wan has gone against Sith Lords and won. The Inquisitors really don't stand a chance. I mean, they could, let's be honest, they couldn't even beat Kanan Jarrus. And Kanan is great. Kanan is one of my favorite Star Wars characters, but he's not the swordsman that Obi-Wan is. He's not. He's just not. Let's see here. Jared Johnson says the Book of Boba Fett was fine, but it did leave a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I agree, man. I really, really enjoyed certain parts of it. But at the end of the day, I had issues with the way that it was put together. I had issues with the way that it was. I felt like the special effects were cheap looking in some episodes. I have directing issues specifically with Robert Rodriguez in Star Wars. But there were some episodes that were so good, even if they were not, you know, quote unquote, the Book of Boba Fett stories, as far as like about Boba Fett. There were some great Star Wars stories in there. Luke and Grogu and Mando and all that. It was so good. But, and so I'm really glad it exists. But yeah, I agree, man. The Book of Boba Fett, and it ended pretty well. I liked the finale. But the Book of Boba Fett's just not it's just not my jam, man. It's just not quite my jam, unfortunately. But that's okay. Honestly, it's okay. Sometimes things just are not. Sometimes I'm just going to watch something that's Star Wars and I'm just not going to love it. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. I'm not going to complain about my childhood being destroyed. You know. Jared also says, Mike, me and you love similar things. Maybe that's why we get along so well. Yeah. For those who don't know, I'm a Florida Gator fan. Jared here is a Florida Gator fan. We are both a part of a Discord server that is full of Florida Gator fans. We both love The Last Jedi. We both love Obi-Wan Kenobi. We both see Star Wars very similarly. So Jared, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm really glad you're here. We're very like-minded individuals. I totally agree. Quibs says everyone always wanted to see what would happen if villains win. Welp, Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah, seriously. Villains win, and the fallout is years and years of problems, right? So that is very true. Jared, again, another thing we agree on. Jared says Solo is good in all caps. I agree. Solo is almost great, man. Last time I watched Solo, I had so much fun. And I can't believe, I know that movie was kind of a mess before, and you know, it had behind the scenes drama and all that stuff, just like a lot of recent Star Wars movies have, except for Rian Johnson movies. But I know that Ron Howard had to come in and basically right the ship, and he did. He saved it and made not only a competent movie. Ron Howard came in and he made a absolutely fun, heartwarming Star Wars adventure. And I've always loved Ron Howard, but I will always love him even more for what he did with Solo. So totally agree, man. We got here another Facebook user. Let's see here. It's Travis again. We have Travis saying, I really hope we get prequel level lightsaber choreo. Saber fights have been pretty mediocre since the prequel trilogy. I don't know if I agree that they've been mediocre. They've just been a different style. I kind of always felt like I know that I understand like they were dazzling in the prequel trilogy, right? But I always felt like it kind of fit that the sequel trilogy choreography was different. It felt like they were playing. They were not playing. It felt like they were fighting with like these huge broadswords, like really, like they were heavy. Um, and I get like if that seems inconsistent or whatever, I understand that. But like the it was almost more like it was a power style and like a power based style instead of acrobatics and jumping around everywhere and all that. I actually like it because it doesn't seem it makes sense to me that we're so far removed from having the Jedi Academy, like the Jedi Temple, and all of these Jedi training at that place. We're so far removed from that. Even Ben Solo, he was at Luke's Jedi Academy, but he wasn't there for long enough to get like insanely, insanely good. And so, like for me, it makes sense. And even Luke, he didn't get training there. He got training from Yoda and a little bit from Obi-Wan, but it was like a lot of it was learning on the fly, man. Like he did not get a whole lot of training, not like the kids in the prequel trilogy did from a young age, you know. And so it makes sense to me that the saber duels would be less refined feeling and more about power and overtaking, you know? And so, yeah, that's just my opinion. I get it. They're not as beautiful to look at. I mean, there's not a lightsaber duel in the sequel trilogy that compares to Battle of the Heroes or Duel of the Fates or anything like that. So I get that. But on an emotional level, I do feel like there's a couple that are at least up there that are really, really great. So yeah, I'm with you though. It would make sense in this era that Obi-Wan would still be able to do a lot of things, even if he's a little older. It might not be quite the same, but it makes sense that he would still have a lot of that choreography kind of a style. He's a showman. I think he's gonna have a lot of that still. The Inquisitors, it makes sense that they would too. So yeah, I think this show will kind of be a combo, personally. Good to have you in here, by the way, Travis. I miss you. Brick says Solo is a good movie. Would love a sequel too. Focus on Crimson Dawn and Kira. Completely agree. I don't even have anything to add to that. I totally agree. Love Solo. I want a sequel. And Crimson Dawn is just ripe for fantastic storytelling with Kira. So I'm down. I'm so down. And that's where, and Maul makes total sense for this, by the way. Bring Maul in here. Let's do it. Let's see here. This is referring to the behind the scenes stuff that I was talking about with the prequels. Scott Tracy says, and he picked what he thought was the sexy lightsaber. Yeah, that's right, man. Y'all need to go search prequels behind the scenes on YouTube. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there is this part where Obi-Wan gets to pick his lightsaber and he wants to pick the one that's sexy, and he's so funny. I love seeing Ewan McGregor like that. It's just so great. Okay, so we're getting near the end here. Got a couple of things I want to read. Yeah, I invited Drew to come on earlier. He said it will be me cooking steaks shirtless on my phone, so it's your wish. Yeah, I think maybe we'll pass this time, man. I do miss you though. Scott Tracy says Maul down, not no. Kenobi's on. Okay, I'm gonna guess you meant Maul does not know Kenobi is on Tatooine until the end of his life. It would have to be when Obi-Wan is off world. Yeah, I agree. That makes a lot of sense. Like, so if for some reason Maul did run into or hear about Obi-Wan being alive, it would have to be while Obi-Wan is off world. He can't know that he's on Tatooine at this point. Completely agree, Scott. And then Bricks, final point here, says that is a good point. You have seeing Maul again in Kenobi would take away from Rebels, and seeing Kenobi there, we need Maul for his own show or animated series. I mean, dude, I'll watch a Maul series like that. Like, let's go. Again, I think it would make a lot of sense to see him in a solo in a solo sequel or show, whatever they want to do there, or even just a Crimson Dawn specific show, I think would be cool too. I would be totally down for that. Um, yeah, I'm not over Maul. I want Maul. I'm good with Maul. Maul's one of my favorite characters, and he has been only made to be a better character through the Clone Wars and Rebels and all that. So, I'm not like against seeing Maul again. That's for sure. It just needs to be right. Don't throw him in there just for fan service. Don't throw him in there unless you have a good story. And for me, it would mess a lot of things up to have him in there with the in this show specifically. So, Drew says, I mean, I can come in for like 15 minutes. Honestly, Drew, I am winding up here, or winding down. I'm sorry. My voice is starting to go. So probably let's pass for this time, but thanks for the offer, man. Guys, that concludes our episode here. Thank you for joining me. We had a great turnout in here. Lots of great interaction with you guys. Really enjoyed having Lore Seeker on again. Won't be the last time. Lore Seeker is the man, as you guys know. But thank y'all for joining me on this impromptu show. This has been so much fun. Make sure, guys, if you have not subscribed to the podcast, these do go up on the audio podcast feed, and they're edited down a little bit too. Although this one won't be as highly edited. I think we made pretty good use of our time on this one. A lot of times we get into shenanigans, and there's a whole lot of wasting of time and all that stuff. But I think we made pretty good time here. It'll be light editing on this for sure. But yeah, every week we put these episodes on the podcast feed. So please subscribe to that if you haven't already. Follow us on all of our social media, including our Twitter at certain_POV pod, on Instagram at certain point of view pod, and join our Facebook discussion group if you haven't already. It's a great place, filled with people who just want to talk about Star Wars in a positive way. And even if you dislike something, just be able to respect each other's opinions and all that. Be honest about your opinions. And so it's a great place. So we want you in there. We got one more comment here. Oh, Drew says, I feel personally attacked by that. No, wait, by what, Drew? I'm assuming you mean by not having you on. That's not the case. I was just about to end the show. But I do love you a whole lot, and I'm sure you'll be on the next one we do. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Seriously, this has been such a blast. I hope you've had a great day. And until next time, may the Force be with you, always.